everybody, TinyHouseDreaming here. I'm at a truck stop in Amarillo, Texas. We stopped here for the night, and we really stopped here because, see, behind me is the Freightliner service center, and my trainer's truck needed to have the fuel gauge replaced because the fuel gauge was not accurate. I mean, it was kind of accurate, but when the fuel got low, it like started kind of acting weird. Like, I drove on E with the light on for like 3 hours. We knew there was fuel in there, but looking at the gauge, you would think you were on E, and the little gas light was on. So they fixed that. It took them about an hour, and while we did it, we took showers. My trainer's in the truck now. I'm headed over to the Love's truck stop to grab something to eat, probably from Subway. Haven't eaten all day, so I'm starving. But anyways, I just wanted to check in with you guys. This is my first video I'm doing since I've been on my TNT trainer's truck. He's really cool. He's has a very good demeanor, very calm, doesn't raise his voice, doesn't yell, doesn't cuss. And he's just like, you know, he's real patient. And it's so far so good. I have, like, you know, I told you guys, wish me luck in my manual truck. I still need that luck. Like, everything's going okay. I've had 2 little incidences. I hope you can hear me through all the trucks that are kind of around. But I had 2 stalls, like where I literally stalled going up a hill in the middle of the freeway. Like, you know, when a truck gets to, when you're in 10th gear and the gears drop, I mean, not the gears, the RPMs drop to under 10, that's kind of your indicator to let you know that the truck wants to be downshifted. Because you want to kind of keep your RPMs at about between 10 and 12. I think it depends kind of on the truck. You get to know it. But we were going up some steep hills coming from California here. We were in Arizona, and I needed to downshift from 10th gear to 9th gear. And this happened twice on 2 separate hills. But I like, when you're downshifting and you're going up a hill, because you know our truck's loaded and it's heavy, so when you're going up a hill, you lose momentum very quickly. So when you make the decision to downshift, you need to kind of make it happen, you know, like kind of, it needs to happen. Like, you can't sit and be thinking about it for too long, or while the second you're spent thinking about it, your truck's losing momentum, so the gear that you're anticipating putting it into is now too high of a gear. And that's what was happening to me. I was trying to put it into 9th, but I hesitated for too long and my speed dropped. And I should have probably been trying to look for 8th or 7th, but I was kept trying to fight it and get it into 9th. And by time, you know, I just lost too much speed going up the hill. So I literally had to stop in the middle of the lane both times, put it in 1st gear and crawl up the hill in 1st gear, which is like 4 miles an hour or something, like really slow. So that kind of sucked. I was freaking out. I mean, not like freaking out where you could tell it from the outside, but inside I was freaking out. But he stayed really calm, really patient. And I'm gonna just finish the video real quick before I walk in. But he stayed really calm and really patient and got me through it. And then, you know, after a couple hours of driving smoothly, he was tired because he had driven all day. And it was my turn, as all this is happening is on my turn at night. And so he went to the back sleeper berth, and he, you know, let me know if anything, I'm sleep light, you know, if you need me, call me. But it had been going kind of smooth. I had been going up in hills and stuff. And when he was asleep, I came to this really big hill, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was super intimidated. But, you know, I'm sitting up there by myself. I didn't want to wake him up. I was like, you got to do this, Desiree. You just got to do it. So, like, I thought about everything well ahead because I seen the hill in the distance. So I had, like, minutes, you know, to think about it before I actually got to the hill, because I knew that the hill, I could see it was so steep that the truck was going to need to be downshifted at some point. I mean, of course, you try to hold 10th gear as long as you can. But, I mean, when you see a steep hill, you know that it's coming. You have to downshift. So I just was anticipating everything in my head. And then it went pretty well. Like, I went into 9th gear smoothly when it was time. Then the hill was so big that I kept losing momentum and my RPM dropped to under 10. So I knew that I needed to shift to 8th gear. I kind of fought with 8th gear for a minute where I was trying to get it in, and then I realized and I remembered what he had told me to pay attention to your miles per hour. So I realized that I had lost too many miles. That's why 8th gear, it wasn't giving it to me. And I just pulled it in the 7th and it went. So I just climbed the hill in 7th gear and that worked out. So I was like, you know, the panicking and the freaking out, it didn't help earlier, but like to actually listen to him and what he was telling me and why he said that it wasn't working, and I had to, you know, I had all this time to creep up those 2 hills in 1st gear to really think about what did I do wrong. And it worked when I was like, when it came down to it and I was by myself on that hill. I mean, he was in the sleeper berth, but you know, by myself up in the cab, everything worked out. So my lesson to you guys is learn from my mistakes, learn when you need to downshift, and don't overthink it. Like that's my problem with everything, it seems like, is don't overthink it. If you know you need to downshift, just take a deep breath and do it, but make it happen. Like, don't think about it for too long, or if you do think about it too long and you're aware that you're thinking about it too long, go into the next lowest gear, because at that point you have already lost enough speed where 9th is no longer the option. Now it's 8th or 7th. It just depends. And I think I made a video where I told you guys about counting your RPMs. If not, I'll tell you real quick. Like, if you want to be in 6th gear, it's 15 miles per hour. 1 plus 5 is 6. If you're going 25 miles per hour, 2 plus 5 is 7. So that's 7th gear. 8th gear, 3 plus 5, 35 is 8th gear. And if you, in like 9th gear, 4 plus 5, 45 miles per hour. When you're at 45 miles per hour, you should be at 9th gear. 55, you should be on 10th gear. 5 plus 5 is 10. So if you keep that in mind, and as you are downshifting, you see that, you know, you can look at your RPM just like your car. You're aware of how many miles per hour you're going. So like, say you're going 55 up a hill. I'm going to give my hill example to you guys. I'm going 55 up this hill. You know, as the hill is steep, right? You're going up this steep hill. You're losing momentum. So you're slowly losing your RPM. I mean, your miles per hour. And so you end up going 45. And you'll kind of notice, because your RPMs will start dropping below 10. And once it drops below 10, you know that, okay, the truck's telling me it needs to be downshifted to get it back up to between that 10 and 12, you know, RPMs. In that sweet spot, I guess is what they call it. So if you take too long, like if you do it like this, and you see you're at 45 miles per hour, you instantly shift into neutral, go into 9th gear. But if you think about it too long, those few seconds of thinking about it, you've dropped past 45. Now you're kind of in the 40 to 35 range, you know, like your RPMs, because you're slowing down because so much weight is going up the hill. While you're in neutral thinking about it, your truck is not gearing. It's slowing down slowly. So if you take too long to think about going into 9th gear, then just look at your miles per hour, realize that, okay, now I'm closer to 3 plus 5, 35 miles per hour. So that's 8th gear. And instead of trying to fight it into 9th gear like I was doing, just take it into 8th gear. You can go from 10th to 8th gear, you know, because you have to go back to neutral between gears. That's what the whole double clutching, although you don't have to really double clutch in the real world. You do that for the test, but yeah, so that's just a little tip. It probably won't help you, but you know, right now sitting there watching that, and if you're already a truck driver, then you already know all of this stuff, and you're like, yeah, she's just figuring this out, and which I am. I'm just figuring it out. But if you are interested in coming to trucking school, just kind of keep that in mind. Like, add up the speedometer and know that what the gauge adds up to is what gear you're supposed to be in when you're, you know, at that speed, or like within 5 miles of that speed. And that can definitely help you for upshifting as well as downshifting, because like I said, you might need to miss a gear and go into the next lowest gear when going up a hill, because you've lost so much momentum that if you try to fight 9th gear and you're steadily, because mind you, while you're fighting 9th gear, your shift is in neutral. So you're not in a gear. So as you're continuously trying to push it into 9th gear, you're steadily losing miles per hour. You know, they're dropping. And the more you fight to get it into 9th gear, which is never going to go because you've lost too much miles per hour, you're just losing so much to where you're going to have to be like me and start off in 1st gear or 2nd gear or something. or completely stop the truck and put it in first gear and just go. Because mind you, you're still going up this steep hill. So you can't just like start back in seventh because you have no momentum to start you at 25 miles per hour. You have to start back off at square one, which is first gear. And because you're probably going to be loaded, you're never going to get the speed up to even work yourself back up to seventh gear or eighth gear or nothing. Like, you're going to have to stay in first or second to get up to the top of the hill, and then you just work yourself back up to 10th. But don't be like me. So pay attention to your miles per hour. And if you feel yourself fighting ninth for even like a second or two, then just take it into eighth, because chances are your miles per hour has dropped low enough at that point where you can get into the next lowest gear. Or even if eighth doesn't work, go into seventh. Seven is 25 miles per hour. You know, if you're depending on the steepness of the hill, you can easily lose from 55 to 25. If you're hesitating for a few seconds, you can lose that speed really quick going up a hill. So that's my tip to you guys. Like I said, I'm in Amarillo, Texas. I'm at a Love's. There's a Subway attached. I'm gonna go eat something. I'm gonna go back to the truck and go to sleep. And tomorrow, I'm gonna take us from here to Fort Worth, where we drop our load. That's like 329 miles, I think, is what the Qualcomm said. So he's gonna let me drive the full thing. That should be about 6.5 hours. Like, you know, going 55, 57, 58. Like, the lower you go, the more you preserve your gas. So that's why we are going at a lower speed. He is a lease operator, so if he wanted to go up to 65, he could, by prime standards or whatever. Like, lease operators are governed at 65. But he conserves his fuel, so we don't go that fast unless we like really have to or in a crunch or something. But I'm going to be driving probably like 56, 57. It should take me about 6.5 hours to get there. All it is, drive time, is just building my stamina. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm loving it out here. I'm counting down to my 30,000 miles because I want to get my own truck. But I hope everybody's had a good weekend, because at this point it's Sunday night. Tomorrow's Monday morning. Yeah, guys, hope you had a good weekend. Hope you have a good week ahead of you, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.